Knightly Musers, followers of the pod, faithful few and hopeful many, this is Anchor by Spotify. If you haven't heard about it, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's the very platform that allows me to give you what I give you on the Nightly. So let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And it gives you the ability to distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so much more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally FREE free. So here's where you come in. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That is ANCHOR.fm to get started. Thank you very much. Peace. Hello. Welcome to the Knightly Muse. You were listening to your... Dang, this is a lot harder than I thought. Welcome to the Knightly Muse podcast. This is your host, Tinayeshe. My middle name's Kennedy. I'm probably going to refer to myself as both because that's my life. And you're probably going to find out about that a lot in this show. But yeah, I'm here to bring you into my world. And this is super awkward because I'm used to doing a podcast called Life in Between with a co-host. Still happening. We're still doing it, but we're expanding. And riffing on yourself is so much harder than with another human. But yeah, this is a space for me to explore as I'm in a space in my life where I'm trying to figure out who I am and journey with Jesus, with God, and the people I care about around me. I want to document it and, I don't know, share the world or whoever wants to hear about what it looks like to live this life. There's so many things that are happening in this world, and I'm a verbal processor, and what better way to verbally process than to talk into a microphone, or in this case, my iPhone recorder, and talk about life. So here we are, and I don't know if I'm going to have an ad on this yet, but this episode is brought to you by my friend, Timmy Douglas. He was the one who talked me into doing this, and I guess he's going to be the first plug. He has his own podcast, which I will plug later because I cannot remember it right now, which is definitely on me. But he is somebody in my life that is one of the boldest people I know. He can sell shoes to a shoe salesman, that's hard to say. He could, he's very, very persuasive. He's very bold. And with that comes gems of truth that I don't know where he gets. I mean, he has got one of the biggest hearts in the world, and some of the ways that he kind of encourages you and tells you to do something or gets you to take a chance, they can be aggressive and they can be scary, but somehow whenever he does it, I feel like, man, this guy really cares about me and sees something in me that I don't quite see yet. I'm going to listen to him. And so for that, I'm thankful. So Timmy Douglas, wherever you are right now, probably in Texas, I love you and thank you. Yeah, for this episode, I'm not sure how long it's going to be, but I wanted to just tell a little bit about myself and give you a glimpse of where I'm at. So this podcast is going to air nightly, as the name suggests. It's nightly with a K because, Easter eggs. We'll get to that later. But I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, originally. I was born there, and my family is from Zimbabwe, and that makes my life very interesting and a little complex in terms of who I engage with on a regular basis and how I was raised. And I often have to reconcile those two things. And so that's a little bit about me. I've got parents, like everybody, and they're great. And I've got two wonderful sisters in my life that I am so blessed to have and call friends, and not just older sisters. You know who you are. Dee and Ray, I love you. And so, yeah, that is a little bit about myself, and work for a church. I'm a worship musician by trade, which is kind of weird to say. I also coach, and I'm just kind of in this process of hammering down what, I think that's the word or the phrase, nailing down. I'm in this process of nailing down exactly what my passion is and who I am, what I'm called to do and who I'm called to do it for, and what that looks like. And I'm going to do it with y'all. My favorite passage of scripture is, well, my favorite kind of story. I've said this before. If you've listened to my other podcast with Tinayeshe Munda, Life in Between, check it out. We've got 2 episodes left in season 1. It's going to be great. Shameless plug. Yeah, I'm plugging my other podcast on my podcast. Deal with it. But in that episode, I can't remember which one it was, but I'm just going to retell it now. Genesis 3, it's either Genesis 3 or Genesis 2. It references the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil after it talks about, that being the tree of which Adam and Eve shouldn't eat of. It also references that the tree of life was in the garden as well. It was next to it. They were really close together, close proximity. You know what I'm saying? And at the end, when they get kicked out of the garden, spoiler alert, sad part of the story, we see God reference lest they grab of the fruit from the tree of life and eat of it. And so that's part of the, rationale for why they were kicked out. But that always struck me 2 things. And in Genesis 3, when they hear God's feet, they hear him walking, they hear him approaching in the cool of the day. They're familiar with his footsteps. They're familiar with what God's presence feels and sounds like. But also, they were fine. He was fine with them eating of the tree of life. And for whatever reason, the tree of knowledge of good and evil wasn't what they wanted. And what Satan tempted them with was you will be like God, knowing good and evil and all of these things. And God didn't want that for us. He didn't want that for them. But he did want them to eat of the tree of life. He did want them to enjoy the rest of the garden and everything else that he's made for Adam and Eve. He wanted them, and he was okay with them eating of that tree. And it just points to his character, that he wasn't worried about us being like him. And in a lot of ways, we were made in his image. We were already like him in the ways that mattered. But God wanted to walk with us in the cool of the day. And that image warms my heart. That image reminds me of who God is and who he intended, or what he intended our relationship to look like. And so on this side of eternity, whether you believe in that or not, on this side of life as we know it, I want to talk about life. I want to talk about me and sports and things that I think about and things that I'm learning. So some episodes I might just wax poetic about a passage of scripture that struck me, or like I just did right now. And I'll, just bring you into my world a little bit. And, I don't know exactly what it was like for Adam and Eve to be able to recognize the very footsteps of the Father, but they got to walk with him. And on this side of a not completely restored picture of communion with God, we still get to walk with each other. And in this time where children are being killed in schools and people killed at grocery stores and division and debate and arguing and hatred and dissension all around, just brokenness. We can't fix everything. We can't fully restore all of the world's problems, but we can, one step at a time, one conversation at a time, person to person, moment to moment, walk with each other. And I don't know big size. One thing you're going to know about me is that I sigh heavy. I'm a big fella that can rep 250 on bench for 5 reps, which is what I did this morning. So I'm kind of proud about that. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know who this podcast is going to reach. I don't know what effect it's going to have, if it's going to have any impact. But I'm excited to offer up the opportunity for people to walk together, for you to walk with me in whatever way that looks like. And it's going to be sweet. So here we go. So signing off for the very first episode of the Knightly Muse. So here's to new beginnings and taking chances. This is Tinayeshe, and you are listening to the Knightly Muse with a K. All right, y'all. Peace. Doobie doobie doo ba doobie doobie doo ba doobie doobie doo ba doobie. It's Perry the platypus in a house with roommates and a not soundproof room, waiting for the faucet to shut off so I can finish talking to you. It's coming at you in every situation. The difficulties of a situation. I rhymed situation with situation. How hilarious is that occasion? Another rhyme. Here are the words. I don't remember what I was saying before. So I'm gonna try to fluff it up. There we go.